Welcome, and thank you to all our viewers and panelists for joining us tonight. I'm Katie Camper, Senior Marketing Coordinator. The goal of today's stream is to create a forum for the Foundation's DIY fundraisers to share ideas, successes, and challenges, and grow our DIY community to raise awareness and funds for the Foundation. To raise awareness in IBD cures. As we hear from each of our panelists, you're welcome to submit questions off in the chat box to the side, or any comments, anything. We'll answer any questions at the end. We will also share each panelist's fundraising page in the comments. In fact, those are all in there right now, so go ahead. And if you have any questions about IBD, need support, please contact our IBD Help Center. The contact information is pinned at the top of the chat. So now I would like to introduce our moderator, Melissa Scott, National Marketing Manager in charge of the Foundation's Do-It-Yourself fundraising program.
Thank you, Katie. I want to start by thanking all the amazing panelists for joining us tonight, and of course, our viewers. Welcome. I'm excited to introduce you to some of our DIY fundraising superstars. We also have a special guest joining us at the end of the panel that you won't want to miss. We're going to start with Stasia, an IBD patient and DIY fundraiser who raised over $9,000 last year with a DIY hike. And she's getting ready to host her second hike this year. Hello, Stasia. We'd love to hear from you, how you first connected with the foundation, why you started the DIY event, and any tips you might have for our fundraisers.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So I started the DIY hike because we used to have Take Steps up in Alaska, but it was just cost prohibitive to keep having it because we're so remote. And so I really wanted to carry on that tradition and still have some kind of fundraiser and some kind of gathering and keep working towards a cure, of course. So I ended up sort of building on that momentum, and I really just asked all of the people who contributed to the Take Steps if they wanted to contribute to the DIY fundraiser. So I organized a hike in the summer when it's nice and warm and sunny in Alaska, and just pick a day, pick a place, and everyone can come. It's very informal, so I don't really organize anything other than the date and the time and the place. So people show up, they hike at their own pace. There's a lot of different trails to choose from, so you can go as simple or as advanced as you'd like to. So it's very minimal as far as coordination goes, but it has had a great impact. Like Melissa said, we were able to raise a lot of money, which is amazing. So I would really encourage anyone who's thinking about doing it to try it. Even if you don't raise a lot of money, I always tell people it's that one final test tube that's going to make the difference to find a cure. So even if you raise $10, that could be the kick that gets us into the cure. So if you're considering it, I definitely would do it. There's a ton of support from the foundation. They'll help you get everything set up. They'll help you with your links. You can send it out on social media. You can send it out over email. It's really, really easy. And it's such a great way to help raise money to find a cure with a really low impact, low amount of time commitment. So I definitely encourage everyone to just try it. Just try it once, see how it goes. And it's a great way to get involved and raise money.
Thank you so much, Stasia. And I will say we do offer a lot of supports. In fact, I'm the one who's going to support you, and I provide one-on-one support to all of our fundraisers. So thank you for sharing. Next up, we are going to hear from Hala. Hala is also an IBD patient and a high school student who hosted her own DIY fundraiser, raising nearly $1,000. Welcome, Hala. I'd love to hear about why you chose to host a DIY fundraiser and how you set it up for success.
Hi, thanks for having me. A little bit about me. I'm a junior in high school, and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was about 11 years old. It was a year or so before the pandemic, and in 2021, I acquired another autoimmune disease called CRMO, which is, like there's a higher chance of getting it if you have an IBD. And I've been on online school called NCC, North Carolina Cyber Academy, since almost the pandemic. And it's been really helpful for me for both when I was in hospital and when I want to start projects like the DIY fundraiser that I held. At my school, I'm a member of the National Honor Society, and each year, each member has to complete a service project. This year I wanted to do something that was like really meaningful, but also really simple. And I thought that the DIY fundraiser program was perfect for what I wanted to do. I knew immediately that I wanted to do a bake sale because I love to bake, and I thought it would just be the most successful way to raise as much money as possible. And I think that's a really nice thing about the DIY program. It's that it's so customizable that you can choose whatever it is that you want to do. And like Stasia said, like even the small things can be meaningful. I raised about $1,000, and it was really successful in my opinion. I'm so glad that I got to work with the foundation as an IBD patient. I was so glad to be able to help out a community that mattered to me. This project is the biggest thing that I've ever organized, and it was such a great lesson in time management and communication. Any high school students out there who are looking for their volunteer hour requirements, or even just for you during your free time, the DIY fundraising program is simple and customizable to your passions and interests. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And we're so glad that you chose us. It was great to hear how you utilize your school project and your passion for baking to bring awareness to IBD and support the foundation's mission for cures. Now we're going to hear from Dr. Tiffany Linville, a pediatric gastroenterology physician at Levine Children's Hospital, and her son, Eiley, who, along with his friends and neighbors, formed the Dilworth Kids for Crohn's and Colitis Cures and helped raise nearly $3,000 over the past 2 years. Welcome. With your busy schedule, how do you manage this, and why was it so important to get Eiley involved?
So Eiley, why did you want to do a lemonade stand for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation?
Because you are a doctor.
And you wanted to help the kids who have Crohn's and colitis find a cure, right? So we, a couple of years ago, Eiley asked me if he could have a lemonade stand after we had walked through the neighborhood and saw one going on. And I sort of had the realization that within the next couple of weeks, our neighborhood home tour was going to be happening, and thought it might be a nice idea to sort of couple it with that, knowing there may be some more foot traffic through the neighborhood during that weekend. And so that first year was kind of thrown together very quickly, and we were able to raise $1,000 that first year, which was sort of shocking to us but exciting. And so we had a year to prepare for the second, and I got with Melissa, who was able to give us more sort of marketing tools that we weren't quite up to date on the year before, which I think really helped us get the word out a little bit better for the actual location of the lemonade stand and how we were working things out. And this year we were able to raise $2,000. We ended up having it for 2 days, and Eiley recruited some of his friends in the neighborhood to help us. And they kind of walked the neighborhood with signs and did their own little marketing, which was quite successful. So
We did not have signs. We had QR codes.
they did have QR codes, and so our third year will be coming up, and thankfully have just learned that our neighbor right next door is going to be on the home tour. So we have a prime location for 2024.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eiley, for mentioning the QR code. That is one of our supports that we provide to all of our DIY participants. Now I would like to introduce Michael Wally and Kathy Friedman. Michael has been actively involved in the foundation since the early 80s. His wife, Jill, had Crohn's disease, and unfortunately she passed away from cancer-related complications at the age of 38. 2 of his 3 sons, now in their 40s, were each diagnosed with Crohn's at age 9, had several surgeries, and have been on IBD medications ever since. Michael was president of the DC area chapter board for 10 years and has been on the chapter board ever since. He has participated in Take Steps walks, team challenge, half marathons, and hikes. With him is Kathy Friedman, Michael's partner for the last 7 years. Kathy has become Michael's biggest cheerleader. Last year, Michael convinced her to team up and walk 200 miles to raise $10,000 on their own, using the foundation's DIY fundraising website. They ultimately exceeded their goal, walking 250 miles and raising $15,000. Michael and Kathy, welcome. You have an impressive background with the foundation. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about why you chose the DIY platform and how you motivate others to give.
Thank you. We're delighted to be with you. As you said, I participated in years worth of team challenge events and found that after a while, it was something that we could mount ourselves. So a few years ago, I started a DIY walk, and I started out walking 100 miles and then 100 miles again. And then I found Kathy and I walk regularly together. And so I said, hey, Kath, you can do it too. And I had developed over the years a list of supporters, both friends, business associates, and clients, and found that they were interested in something sort of novel. And when they found out that we had a goal of walking 200 miles, I think many of them were flabbergasted. But we arranged to do it by walking a certain number of miles every day. And we used the DIY platform to keep all of our supporters up to date as to our mileage accomplishments. And as we got more and more into it, more and more people became involved as donors. And then Kathy and I both found, as she'll explain to you, that we also found many more people who had a Crohn's or ulcerative colitis connection by doing that.
I've wanted to support Michael, but I was not about to hike down the Grand Canyon or do a half marathon. So I thought when Michael raised this, I thought this is a great idea. I can do this. And we really had a lot of fun. And it was nice to reach out to people on my side who had not yet supported Michael. And I cannot tell you how many responses I got from people who were so delighted that we were raising money for Crohn's and colitis because either they either they had or they had a family member who had Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. And to hear the responses from people who I reached out to was just so gratifying. And as Michael said, we exceeded our goals beyond our wildest expectations.
And I think everyone who mounts a DIY initiative should realize how much support they can get from the foundation staff. We had numerous bumps in the road of setting things up. They were all cleared by the staff easily and made our fundraising much simpler. And so we're trying to figure out what we're going to do this year.
Well, I'm happy to help you brainstorm. Thank you both so much for sharing that. Before we hear from our special guest, I'd like to introduce Arlene Clark and her sister Tiffany from Team Tanisa, appearing on screen separately, but together in heart. Arlene's family formed Team Tanisa in honor of her daughter and Tiffany's niece, Tanisa, who sadly passed away. Arlene and Tiffany, thank you both for being here and for your willingness to share your story. Can you start by telling us why you felt it was important to partner with the foundation and how Team Tanisa is working to create awareness and raise funds in Tanisa's honor?
It actually, my sister and my sister-in-law is who introduced me to the DIY, and it was so important to us because it provided a platform for us to be able to have the opportunity to honor Tanisa, as well as bring that awareness to others to let other people know how you can be affected by those diseases. And by creating that fundraiser, you're able to provide Crohn's and colitis with funds to continue that research that's so important to find a cure so other families don't have to endure what we're enduring.
Thank you.
And in addition to what my sister was saying, the DIY allowed us to share with not just our immediate family and friends, but others across the country, across the world, about our event. We have an annual #Team Tanisa annual walk, run, roll event that we have in her honor to raise awareness and to raise funds for Crohn's and colitis. And also the DIY allowed us to share with everyone our Tanisa through the pictures and the information that we provide on the DIY. You're able to share the information about your loved ones, about yourself, about your event, and people get to know the person, So I think that's a great part of the DIY, in addition to the support that you all provide us as we go through the process of setting it up and trying to maneuver through the process.
Yeah. Thank you both for sharing. I know that Team Tanisa has an active Instagram channel. Feel free to put that in the comments. Well, I think your page, actually, your fundraising pages, all of them are in the comments. And I would challenge you all to go take a look at what everybody's done and all the pictures that people have shared. It's pretty amazing. So now I would like to introduce Katie Weniger. Katie is a colitis patient and has been a part of the foundation first as a patient and now as our webmaster. Katie, thank you for being here and your willingness to share your journey with the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Melissa said, my name is Katie. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2010, and my very first fundraiser was a DIY fundraiser. It was 2010, so Livestrong bracelets were very popular. I had my dad actually reach out to someone he was working with, and we created Got Guts bracelets, sold them for $5 a piece, and I think we ended up raising a couple $100. But the bigger impact was showing people what IBD is, how it can affect us, and that it is a thing at all. So from there, I've participated in Camp Oasis, which was incredible, as well as several years of Take Steps. And now, as Melissa said, I work for the foundation. I run our website. So most of the updates that you see, that's me working around in the background there. And now that I'm on this side of fundraising and with the foundation, it's incredible to see the work that Melissa and the team does with all of the DIY fundraising. Thanks to you guys.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight, and for sharing all of your incredible stories and really inspiring us with everything that you've achieved for the foundation. If anyone in the audience would like to learn more about our panelists, we have pasted their fundraising pages in the chat, as we've said. And we've also included a link to the foundation's DIY site. So pretty much everything you need is right off to the side of the screen. I haven't seen any questions come up in the chats, so it sounds like we must have covered everything pretty well. Unless anyone here would like to highlight anything. But I think we did a pretty good job. But if anyone in the audience does have any questions that they don't want to bring into the chat now, or if they're interested in creating their own DIY fundraiser, please email Melissa, and her email, the DIY email, is also in the chat right there. And yeah, just thank everyone so much.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
All right.